Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're over here on the JP side of the game, doing a little bit of a showcase for both the new verse Shanks and the Anniversary Legend lore, as I haven't really got a chance to actually showcase what this character can do. And with the release of Verse Shanks being a slasher booster, we can actually implement lore on this particular team. As for the other three units, we do have the usual culprits of Clay and Chopper, very good for Revolutionary Army 2, which is the piece of content that we are taking on. And we are using Mihawk and Perona. Mihawk and Perona are actually a really good sub for this new verse Shanks. Mainly because when you are Mihawk, you are a slasher. And when you are Perona, you are a Psi unit. Which means that way you can actually get boosted no matter what, variation you're in. You just need to make sure when you use their special that you do turn into this Psi variation of Mihawk and Perona. Otherwise, you guys are going to have a bad time. You're not going to really be getting that Captain Multiplier. With Clay, they're very good because they can remove Blind and Despair. Their switchability also gives us damage reduction, which this team actually needs, as well as utilizing the Gello ship for extra damage reduction. But with Shanks hitting perfects, he can actually get a lot of healing back, and then utilizing someone like Chopper, we can get end of turn healing, remove more Blind and Despair, as well as attack down. So once we hit stage 3, this is where we actually start seeing the harder end of the content. So on stage 3, we actually come up against Hack and 3 of his lackeys. Now, I unfortunately don't have max charge special on this particular team, as my JP account is still fairly fresh. So I actually had to stall a turn here, which was a little bit annoying, but it doesn't matter too much because we can actually heal back with Chopper. Chopper's going to remove the attack down for us, give us some end of turn healing, and then we're just going to rely on our Shanks special to actually output a lot of damage. With the Shanks special, we can get a full border orbs, a 2.5 times orb boost to our Psi, Int, and our Slasher units, which this whole team is, provided we are in the Psi variation of Ivankov or Ivankov himself. And we also get an 1,000 base attack boost to Slashers, Psi, and Int units. With Shanks' amazing special, you can output so much damage, and he goes through block orbs. Utilizing Whitebeard and Shanks together is a really good option as well, as they're both Int and Psi boosters, which means you can actually hybrid them up fairly well, very similar to Kaido and Big Mom, or Kaido versus Big Mom, where you can make a Int and a Strength hybrid kind of team, and it would actually function really well. Well, you can do the same thing with verse Shanks and with verse Whitebeard, and I will be putting together I might do a forest run with the two of them together over the next coming days. There's just so much going on OPTC at the moment on both global and JP that I'm just really struggling to try and get all these videos out for you guys. But I hope you are enjoying the content, and if you are, make sure to smash the like button for me if you're new. Hit the big red subscribe button too, because, why not? So we can use the switch ability of Mihawk and Perona here to actually get a lot more healing back every single turn, as well as actually get the negative effect. The negative effect means we're actually going to take less damage, as well as dealing more damage as we reduce the defense and the attack of the enemy, which is really nice. On stage 4, we come up against Ivankov and the Kamakama girls. They're going to give us 4 turns of Bind and Despair, so this is why we really need our Ivankov down the bottom, and preferably in the bottom left-hand slot. That way we can actually use their special to remove it, as they roll back our captains and our middle row specials. So make sure you do have a character that can remove Bind and Despair in the bottom row. Otherwise, you're going to have a really bad time on this particular stage. Now, the beautiful thing about this particular team against this stage is we actually have color affinity on Ivankov and the redhead girl. So that way we can actually just utilize our normal taps with the switchability of Vivi and Rebecca. With the switchability of Mihawk and Perona. And then that way we can actually set the negative effect, and we can do a butt ton of damage on this particular stage. We do have the end of turn healing from Ivankov, so we can sort of hang around on this stage if we need to. But ideally, we just want to sort of take out Ivankov and move on to the next stage, as well as the redhead girl. With Shanks' versatility is actually pretty good for this particular piece of content, as there's not that much full immunity. The downside to Shanks is he doesn't actually go through full immunity. I really wish that his versatility had some sort of compromise with getting through full immunity. I think that would make this unit so ridiculously good. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Shanks once again has drawn the short end of the stick. Besides, obviously, my boy Shanks Crew, who is still reigning supreme over on Global, and still doing a very good job over here on JP as well. On the next stage, we're against Saba Koala. They're going to make all of our colored orbs matching unfavorable for 2 turns. They reduce our recovery significantly and lock our orbs. If you use an orb boost on this particular stage too, they have an interrupt, so just be careful. if you are using ore buffs, because they will wipe away all of your positive buffs. We are going to use our lore special so we can deal extra damage, and we get a nice chunky attack boost to our cerebrals and our slashes, which this whole team is, besides Invinclay. And then we want to try and do as much damage to both of them as we can. Ideally, keep both of them alive if you are running this team, as we do need to utilize the switch ability of Mihawk and Perona, and then utilize the Mihawk Perona special on the next turn, and that will only work if the two of them are alive. Otherwise, the full immunity will just negate the negative effect. With the 2x conditional boost we have against the negative enemies, we can easily take out Koala, and if we don't take out Sabo, get him low enough to take him out on the next turn. Make sure you guys are hitting your perfects. Even with the reduced recovery though, you can actually still get a lot of healing with Shanks, and that's the big upside to utilizing Shanks as a captain. Very similar to Halloween Shanks, where you actually get healing back with his perfects. Well, this guy actually has a lot more damage output than Halloween Shanks, with the same amount of healing. The downside I do find to that actual mechanic, when you have such a high captain multiplier, you're doing so much damage that hitting all your perfects in a turn can be quite restrictive, but you will see where it shines against the Morley stage, which is coming up next. Once we take out Sabo, we can move on to the next stage against Morley. And against Morley, this is where we have to do a bit of stalling. So against Morley on the first turn, he has 2 turns of Threshold and 2 turns of Defense up, but we can set the defense to 0. So if you wanted to, if you guys have a character that can remove Threshold. I haven't really looked at too much into the new characters, or looked into a team that can actually successfully bypass that. But if you can get rid of the Threshold somehow, you can easily drop the versatility of Shanks here, get 3 turns of setting the defense to 0, and utilizing the extra damage against setting enemies' defense to 0 for 3 turns. So that is a very, very good option here. But with this particular run that I did, I actually stalled out on Morley. I just stalled out basically until we got rid of the defense up and the Threshold, because once you do that, he actually has resilience as well. Another thing actually I forgot to note, he has 5 turns of resilience. So that's another reason why we do want to stall here, as he can be a little bit annoying. Every second turn, he will do around 15k damage to this particular team. So just be mindful of that and keep an eye on your HP pool. With the switchability of Ivankov and Mihawk Perona, we can get a lot of healing back, we can get a lot of damage reduction, and then just hitting our perfects every single turn with Shanks, we can get a lot of healing back as well. So it works really, really well. Once the defensive effects are gone, we are going to start focusing on taking out Morley. Alright, so now the defensive effects are gone and we've done a bit of damage to Morley. As you can see, our HP pool is actually sitting quite nice, mainly through the switch abilities of Mihawk and Perona, the damage reduction we can get from Ivankov, as well as the perfects being hit by Shanks. Now that we've got him significantly low and we have all of our specials back, we can basically pop one of the Shanks crew, the Verse Shanks special, and do a bot ton of damage to Morley. Now, the beautiful thing about lore on this team is he actually makes Dex Orbs matching, and every single turn, Morley gives us a full board of Dex Orbs and gives us a chain lock. So, utilizing lore as a sub is actually really good for this particular stage, as that way we don't have to worry about the orbs and we can actually keep a full board. With the Shanks special, we have a bot ton of damage, we don't even have to worry about the chain lock, and we can actually lock our orbs with the Magello special, which is really, really nice. With Shanks' special, we actually get the clock buff as well, which gives us a carryover of setting the defense to 0, which you guys are going to see on this Bello Betty stage. Against Bello Betty, she gives us 3 turns of attack down and paralysis, so this is where utilizing the Chopper special once again is very, very good. We are going to switch with Mihawk Perona, so that way we can give the negative effect as well, so that way we can deal some more damage and take less damage, as we're not going to, well, we shouldn't be able to take out Bello Betty on the very first turn. So make sure you do take out the lackeys around the outside, and then we can focus on taking out Bello Betty on the second turn. After the second turn, she's going to respawn the enemies around the outside, but that's fine because we're going to take her out before then anyway. With the end of turn healing that Chopper provides too, don't stress with the damage that we are taking, because we can just heal that back with Chopper's end of turn heal, which is very, very strong. Having the flat rate 5 times multiplier is very, very good as well. We can also use the verse ability on these next 2 stages against Lindbergh and Bello Betty, as they don't actually have immunity to defense down. I think neither does Carousel now that I'm really thinking about it. I love this scene so goddamn much. This is what got me into One Piece right here. That right there. Little bit of a fun fact for Stump. But with setting the defense to 0, utilizing Shanks' verse ability, as well as getting the conditional boost against setting defense low, means we can actually output a lot of extra damage. The downside to this is Shanks does not go through full immunities, but with the help of rare recruit Ben Beckman that came out alongside Shanks, we can get around defense down immunity, which is really, really good. Very similar to Onami. That Onami unit that can actually remove it, but Shanks does have the same issue as Onami, where if there is full immunity, he does lack. I wish they had just like in brackets, if there's full immunity, only does it for 1 turn. I think that would actually just be absolutely fine. As the upside to using verse Whitebeard is you always get that 90% damage reduction no matter what. With Shanks, you basically just lose out if you have full immunity. So there's a bit of a downside to my boy Shanks there, but nevertheless, I do love this unit so goddamn much, and I'm having a lot of fun using him on JP where I can, because Kazuna's going crazy at the moment. It's been buying all my time, but we're going to stall 2 turns against Lindbergh here. That way we can actually stall out the paralysis utilizing the switchability of Invenclave. And then we can actually use their special to give us, or remove the bind. Make sure that Invenclave is on your bottom left though. That is very, very important, as that way you can remove the bind and they're not going to get binded. After the 3rd turn, Lindbergh is actually going to give us back paralysis and bind, so we do need to make sure we take him out on this turn. So we are going to switch with Mihawk Perona, so we do have a little bit of color affinity. And then we can use our friend Captain Shanks' verse ability, as well as utilizing this Shanks special. That way we can actually get the conditional boost against setting the defense to 0. We get a full board of orbs. We get a 2.5 times orb boost. And we get the base stat boost. That base stat boost, by the way, is no joke. That extra 1,000 goes in before the multipliers. So all that extra damage, like that was 11 million damage with 3 units, which is just absolutely absurd. So when Shanks works, he can work. And he can work very, very well. The downside is there is just ways to get around what he can do, which it does pee me off a little bit. But look, it is what it is. Every unit kind of has that. And even when you can't get off his versatility, he is still very, very, very strong. On the next stage, we come up against Carousel. He has 2 turns of Threshold, and he gives us 2 turns of Gloom. And then on the 3rd turn, we can actually output quite a bit of damage against Carousel. This is a good chance to actually stall, as we can use the switch ability of Invenclave for some damage reduction. We can use the switch ability of Mihawk and Perona to give ourselves some healing, as well as give the negative effect. And that way we can actually stall back. We mainly just want to stall back here so we can get our our verse Shanks special back. Once we get our verse Shanks special back is when we can start outputting a lot of damage. And until then, we are basically just going to plot along, hit our perfects with Shanks when he doesn't have the despair, so we can get the healing back. And once the threshold and the despair is gone, we can try and do as much damage as we possibly can to Carasso on this particular stage. If you guys get the versatility back at any time, you just have to eat 10 Psi or Int Orbs. If you do get it back at any time, you can use that, as he's not immune to defense down. So now that we've basically stalled back to get our specials, we can switch with Mihawk Perona. We can actually use Mihawk Perona's special ability to give ourselves the conditional boost against the negative effect. We're not going to need their special on the final stage, so we may as well use it here. Unfortunately for me, I actually wasn't switching properly, and with my Mihawk and Perona, I was actually in the strength variation, which was a bit of a shame, but it's not the end of the world. Unfortunately, we couldn't take Kurosawa out on that particular turn, but make sure you use that special so you can get a little bit of extra damage. As you can see with Shanks giving all that extra healing by hitting perfects, it actually can keep us alive, as well as utilizing the Mihawk and Perona switch ability to give that negative effect. So that's very, very important. Without the Magello here, I don't know if we would actually have the damage reductions to survive, and I was actually being a bit of a spoon, and I wasn't actually hitting my Psi or Int Orbs as I was making my way through. If you guys are actually hitting those Psi and Int Orbs, which Shanks does increase the chance of when you're not despaired, you can actually get the versatility back fairly easily and do a lot more damage to Kurosawa as well. Just be mindful though, the defense down buff will not stack with the negative buff, so you do need to be careful of that. Use the Chopper special if you need to as well. Chopper's going to give you us a nice chunky heal, as well as remove the despair to get more healing with Shanks' perfects. Once we've got Kurosawa down to a very low HP pool, provided we can't stall anymore, or when you have the Shanks special ready to go and you just want to take Kurosawa out, we can easily take him out when we need to and move on to the final stage against Sabo and Koala. So against the final stage against Sabo and Koala, they give us a full board of block orbs. They only allow us to use 2 specials, which is a little bit annoying. And that's about it. They have full immunity, so we can't use the versatility of Shanks, which is a little bit of a shame. But it's not the end of the world. They reduce our recovery significantly as well, so that's something else to note. So ideally, you want to be sort of taking this stage out in one turn, but if you guys are going in with damage reduction or something like that and you need to stall turn, just be mindful that your recovery is reduced, so you can't really use healing specials. With our Shanks special though, this beautiful, beautiful special, we can turn those block orbs into matching orbs, we can get the base attack increase, and we can get a 2.5 times orb boost, which is incredibly strong. The amount of damage you can output just with Shanks or Whitebeard special for that matter. Whitebeard's arguably a little bit better if you can actually pop all of it off, mainly because you have access to the orb boost as well. However, it is only a 2 times orb boost, so like most of the time you want a 2.5 times orb boost. With this incredible lore special as well, you can't underrate this lore special either. This lore special is goddamn beautiful as well. And this lore, honestly, I love this lore. He's my favorite out of all of the Anniversary Legends. He initially went in as him being my least favorite, but some of the stuff this man can do is actually insane. With his special, we're going to get Cerebrals, Slashers, and Dex characters to get a 2.75 times attack boost, which this whole team is again besides Ivankov, and we get the extra damage debuff to the enemy, which means that we can actually get an extra 1.5 times damage. I'm going to end this video with this amazing versatility once again, guys. I love this team so damn much, so sorry for the spam, but that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed the Shanks, or the Verse Shanks showcase. And if you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button too, as we upload Optc videos on JP and Global every single day. But guys, most importantly, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Lights!